So first of all, very nice to see everybody here in the middle of the summer. Great. And I'm excited about this class.
Yeah.
It's really, we're going to have some good material here. So I just want to start by telling you what we're reading. We're reading the beginning of the Mishneh Torah. Rambam summarized the entire Torah Shebe'al Peh, everything from A to Z. There's nothing in the law of the Torah Shebe'al Peh, the halakha, that Rambam didn't include in his book, the Mishneh Torah. So what we're reading is, we're actually reading the very beginning of Rambam's summary of the Torah Shebe'al Peh, right? The halakha of the Torah Shebe'al Peh, the very beginning. And it's interesting how he starts. So let me ask you a question. There's another summary of the Torah. By the way, there is no summary of the entire Torah Shebe'al Peh, but there's other summaries. So one of them is the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch was Rabbi Yosef Karo, one of the great Chachamim. And we make Pesach Halacha until today, generally like the Shulchan Aruch. But let me ask you a question. How does he start his summary of the Halacha? How does Rabbi Yosef Karo start? So he starts with some general laws, how you have to behave in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, he goes into the different halachot. You have to make netilat yadayim, and then he goes into different things that have to do with birkot hashachar. And my question is as follows: why does Rambam start with what we're about to read? Let's read the first sentence, and I want to think about why Rambam is even starting the Torah, his summary from here. So here's the first sentence. It says as follows: you all have material. There's more material in the middle. So I think we have enough material for everybody, if anybody needs and is lacking. Yesod ha-yesodot ve'amud ha-chokhmot. Rambam is going to start by telling us how we are obligated to view the world around us, right? So we all look at the world, and when we look at the world, we look at the world through a particular prism, right? We have to make a choice. Rambam is going to tell us how we are obligated. What is the prism that the Torah tells us this is the way to view the world? What is that prism? Okay, this is how Rambam starts. And he's going to tell us what that prism is. The midah, we should all know, sheyesh sham masur rishon, that there is a creator to the world. And we will elaborate. This is, by the way, this is in order to understand Rambam, he wasn't just one of the greatest Chacham, in my opinion, that ever lived, but also he was probably the greatest writer of the Hebrew language that ever lived. So every single word of Rambam, every single word has meaning. So we're going to study it, we're going to look at it, because he's speaking to us. You know, you look at a word, and in one word, he has like an entire message he's giving us. But I want to go back to my question. And that question was, why does Rambam start with how we have to view the world? What the mind, how the mind has to operate. What is a Jewish mind? Why does Rambam start with that? Let him start with something more simple. You wake up in the morning, say birkot hashachar, or I don't know, you want to start from the nighttime, say at night, you have to say Kriyat Shema. You have to put on tefillin every day. Why does he start with something so abstract, something so philosophical?
Well, why would you put on tefillin or anything else without knowing why you're going to do it?
Oh, I like that. Elliot, I like that. I'll tell
actually
you.
It starts with creation. The Torah starts with creation, and
right.
he takes the same moment.
Right.
I'll
tell you, we have, Judaism is the parent, let's say, of many other religious systems that, try to imitate Judaism. So let's look at something, magical. Okay? Let's look at something magical. So you go to a... and I know we don't have too much paganism nowadays. In the world, paganism has, to a large part, been eradicated, or at least we think so. It just takes other forms today, but it doesn't matter. Let's just take a simple thing. You go to a place in India, and they have a particular idol, and they believe the idol is holy, right? Okay. If you can't distinguish between the way that Indian perceives his idol and the way us as Jews perceive tefillin, there's something really wrong with you. And what's wrong with you is that, for the tefillin is just a magical object, right? It's just a type of magic. And when you're gonna, do the rituals in Judaism, you're actually gonna be reinforcing a pagan mindset, right? So Judaism is gonna be a type of pagan worship. Why? Because you're viewing it in magical terms, right? So like I once asked a class, so it was so interesting because I didn't think the answer would be like that. So somebody had a kamiyah, right? I don't know where he got the kamiyah, whatever, some red thread. So I said, is there a difference between the kamiyah and the tefillin? So somebody raised his hand, a very nice person, a wonderful, sadiq, really good, Yehudi, neshama tehora, pure soul. And he raised his hand and said, no, there's no difference. I said, really? So I said, does Hashem command us to put on a kamiyah? No. He says, of course. Well, of course not. And does Hashem command us to put on tefillin? Yes. Before we put on tefillin, we say, Hashem kedeshanu b'mitzvotav. Hashem has commanded us to put on tefillin. Right? So it's just such a fundamental thing. But you see how people, even good people, they mix magic with Torah. So that, yeah. Come here. Oh, come here. Also, it's like, it's like a Kabbalistic amulet. Kabbalistic amulet.
The red
right?
strings.
They have these red strings they get out in the kotel and this. So what I'm saying is that Harambam starts with how we must think. Because if we don't know how to think, then we'll end up performing Judaism, but we'll do it kind of like pagans. And Harambam doesn't want us. We want to perform the mitzvot like Jews, not like pagans. So that's why we're starting Yesode Hatora. So you say, oh wait, why does Shulchan Aruch start with what he started? Because by the time Shulchan Aruch came, it was several hundred years after Harambam. And he didn't have to contribute. He doesn't deal with this subject. Harambam already dealt with it, right? So he starts with what he starts. That was his purpose. Shulchan Aruch had a different purpose than Harambam. Harambam wanted to summarize everything, including how we think. Get it? So let's see. How do we think? All right, so let's start. Yesode Yesodot Amud HaChochmot. So like you start, we have some intelligent young men in this crowd, and you go to school, and you go, for example, Mark, is that, okay, Mark. You go, you study, you're 10th, what grade are you at?
I'm going 10th grade.
Okay, so you study geometry yet?
I studied it this year.
Right, so the first thing in geometry is, what do they teach you before they start geometry? They're going to teach you some rules. What do they call those rules? Axioms. Right? Let me ask you a question. Do we prove the axioms?
You can't.
We cannot prove an axiom, because an axiom is an emunah. You either accept it or you reject it. Now, when you study geometry, do you accept the axiom or do you reject it? Well, you have to, because the teacher will kick you out of class. You'll get zeros on the test. So it's a system. You have to just accept the axioms of the system, right? I'm sorry. Right? You agree?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'll give you an example. So one of the axioms in geometry is the shortest distance between 2 points is what?
Straight line.
It's just an axiom. Can you prove it? Well, actually, let's just think about that for a second. So, can you prove it?
Yes.
Well, actually, the shortest distance between 2 points is not always a straight line. It really depends upon where the 2 points are in space, and space is curved. And sometimes the shortest distance between 2 points is not a straight line. How do you like that?
Yeah, because he confounds. They say he confounds.
Right. It depends on the shape of space. Right, exactly. So, okay, but it's just an axiom. So in any system, this is what I want you to understand. Say, why do I have to believe this? Or why do I have to accept that? And the answer is, we're Jews. This is our system. And if you choose to be a Jew, part of being a Jew is we start with these axioms. So this is not something we want to prove. We can discuss proofs for creation, and we have a lot of fun. Really, like one day we'll do that. But that's not the purpose of this class. The purpose of this class is not to prove anything. It's just to set forth for you how we think as Jews. What is Jewish thinking? Our epistemology, let's call it, right? Our Jewish thinking, the Mar, and how it works. So, Yesode Yesodot, the absolute axiom of Judaism, the Amud HaChochmot. And this is a prism This axiom that we're about to say is the prism through which all of our scientific thinking develops. It all starts at this one axiom, and it is Lida sheyasham masur rishon. You must know that there is there, you look at the word sham, you see the word sham, that there is there, masur rishon, something that existed before everything else. But we call that God, right? But let's not use the term God. There is something that existed before everything else. Now, just look at that sentence. I'm going to read it again and tell me which is the word here that's interesting to me. Lida, sheyesh sham, masur rishon. There's a word here that I think is very, very rich. Sham. Who said sham? Elliot said sham. So it's there, but I have a. Okay, don't we all know like the song we studied when we were little kids? What was that? I think it was in Flatbush. Hashem is here. Hashem is there. Okay, right? You know that song, right? So why does Rambam say Hashem is there? Why doesn't Rambam say Hashem is here? Lidash yesh po masui rishon, but he says sham masui rishon because there's a difference between po and sham. Po means he exists here in our realm. He is part of the existing. There's a universe, and inside the universe there is a God. But that is a mistake. That is a falsehood. He doesn't exist here. He doesn't exist in the universe. He is there in his own realm of existence. You understand the difference between here and there?
Unique.
Completely separate.
Unique.
Completely separate. It's true that we can experience Hashem. It's true that we can experience Hashem, but He's not here, right? For example, this cup is here because it exists at the physical level. It has a particular molecular structure, and given the environmental conditions in this room, the cup exists as it does here on this table. Hashem has no physical existence, so there is nothing in the physical universe that you can say, there He is. No, He's not.
Can you say Hashem is existence?
Well, no, because there is something outside Hashem, and that is a universe. So there's a universe.
No, I'm saying is existence.
No, I would not say that, because when you say Hashem is existence, you're implying that there's some sort of ontological relationship or commonality between Hashem and the universe, and there is no commonality. That's the point of Rambam when he says Sham. And that's so important. And you said yourself, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. That's exactly what Yeshayahu Navi meant when he said that. Hashem is holy. Holy means He's separate, He's whole, He's complete, outside the world, right?
So then therefore you can't say Sham also. You can't say here or there.
Yes, because by Sham He doesn't mean there in the universe. He means wherever.
Beyond time.
But not here.
Beyond time and space.
Yes.
Beyond.
Right. Understand Sham in the sense of, I remember when we were young, and I think we used to discuss negative theology. This is going back 30, 40, whatever years. Something like that. So think of Sham in terms of negative theology. He's not here. Where is He exactly? He's in His own existence. He is His existence. Right? So that's His...
Why wouldn't He be here? I think He's always with us.
He's with us. He's with us because Hashem gave you a mind that has the ability to experience Him. But that experience that your mind has of Hashem, it's not something that I can give it a scientific characteristic and say, okay, right now your mind is on this wavelength and it's letting out these particular frequency of thought and it's reaching another wavelength. No. That's a unique thing that Hashem put in our mind. When the Torah says that He made us B'Selem Elohim, Selem Elohim means we have the ability to experience. And that itself is almost, I wouldn't say almost miraculous, that itself is miraculous. That Hashem, which is outside our realm of existence, puts something in our brain that enables us to experience Him. But don't confuse the fact that I experience Hashem with the fact that He's here. He's not here. My mind can experience His presence, and He can talk to me, and I can talk to Him, and He can do things for me, and I can show Him my love and my gratitude towards Him. But He's not in the physical universe. That's the point.
Transcendental, and Hashem is transcendental.
Correct.
The soul,
Correct.
The soul is
Absolutely.
that has that essence of non-physicality, the on-time, the on-space.
Correct.
That's how we connect.
Correct. I believe there was something.
You implying that Hashem is outside the totality. He's outside the realm of the totality.
Right. There's a great pasuk in Parashat Zot HaBeracha. It says, "Umitachat zeraot olam." It's almost like Hashem is outside the universe, holding up the universe. Of course, metaphorically, holding up the universe with his arm. So he's not inside the universe. So the Chachamim, a very nice way of putting it. Do not ask where Hashem is in the universe. Ask where the universe is in Hashem. Right? That's a lovely way of putting it, and that really that encapsulates that concept. Let's continue.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Question on procedure. You want us to hold our comments and questions till the end, or keep it
Oh,
going?
that's a great question. You know what? I didn't even think of it, but now that you're asking the question, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read a sentence, explain, and then I will say, any questions? How's that sound? Does that make sense? Is that good? Okay. I will try to remember. To give you the opportunity, because I do want you to ask questions and to understand it. Let's read the continuation of the sentence. Interesting. Lida. What does it say, Lida? You notice how Rambam doesn't say leha'amin? You notice how Rambam doesn't say leha'amin sheyesh ramasu? He says Lida. What's the difference between leha'amin and Lida? What's the difference? Leha'amin means, let's start with leha'amin. Leha'amin means to believe. What does Lida mean? De'ah means knowledge. It's knowledge that you acquire. What does Lida mean? You have to think about this. It's not just automatic, meaning we all came tonight to this class, we're all studying, we're making this mistake because we're studying. We're trying to understand, we're activating our minds. So it's not like, oh, just believe that there's a God and He's there. That doesn't mean anything. You have to think about it. So it's a lot of you are troubled. You say, what does it mean God is not here? I don't get that. Good, I'm happy that you're troubled. You should be. Because God is not an easy thing to understand. And if you're not troubled with what I'm saying, that means you're really not thinking. So anybody who's sitting here is a little troubled. Wait, God isn't here. I thought He's here. I thought. Wait. Hold on 1 second. Wait. So I just wanted to follow that thought. So you should be troubled, and that's the point of lida. Think about it, because it's not just automatic, right? This is something that you have to think about all your life, and you constantly build your knowledge. And I will take the questions after I do this next sentence, and it is as follows. Vehu mamsi. Look at this word, mamsi. What does mamsi mean?
Mamsi is to create.
What's wrong with the word mamsi? There's something wrong with it. When did Hashem create the universe? He created the universe, but the word mamsi doesn't mean He created the universe. It actually means something a little different.
Bring it to exist.
Mamsi, okay, there's if it said himsi kol nimsa, means He created in the past. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. That's in the past. When did Hashem create the universe? In the past. Thousands of years ago, millions of years ago, whatever. Billions of years ago, I don't care. But hu mamsi kol nimsa, it doesn't say that. It says hu mamsi kol hanimsa. What?
Present tense.
Mamsi, what does mamsi mean? Now. Now He's creating. Oh, that's weird.
Continuous.
Continuous creation. Ve'u mamsi kol hanimsa. Ve'u mamsi. What do we say in the tefillah every day before Kriyat Shema? HaMechadesh betubo bechol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit. We say Hashem every day is renewing the creation. So the creation is not, when we talk about ma'aseh bereshit, the creation of the universe, you always say, oh, that's something that happened way back then. No. It's something that's happening now. At this moment, Hashem is creating the world. Mamsi, again, this is part of our thinking. I just want you to understand, we're Jews, we're a little different, we're an ancient civilization, we are the most ancient civilization that is continuously holding on to its tradition, because there are other ancient civilizations that have been eradicated, that no longer exist, or that are no longer active. So we're an ancient civilization. This is our thinking. So we don't think about just that the universe was created. It was, but it's continuously created. And in a moment, I'm going to read to you a passage that deals with this. וכל הנמצאים מן השמיים והארץ ומה שביניהם לא נמצאו אלא מאמיתת הימצאו. And anything that exists, and I'm going to just explain this in a moment, in the heavens, universe, galaxies, supercluster of galaxies, here in our world, and in between, space, time, everything, exists because of his existence. Because he exists and he chose to create, the creations existed. But if it wasn't for that, the only thing that would exist in the world would be Hashem. So I'll give you an example. I love doing this. Pasuk says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et ha'aretz. Okay, so let's look at the world before Hashem created the world, right? So what does everybody see? It said, go to the point before creation. So everybody, usually, like at least when I did this in Israel, what everybody sees is black, complete black, right? Just this is before the creation, just complete blackness. And I can understand why we would view it that way, but that's kind of like a mistake because there was no blackness, right? The blackness itself is a type of creation. It's a lack of light, but it's okay. So you say, okay, it's not black, okay, but it's like empty space, right?
Nothing.
It's infinite empty space. And I said, no, that's also wrong. It's not infinite empty space because space itself was created by Hashem, right? I'm not going to go further than this.
Yeah.
I could, but I'm not going to do it because it'll. But you understand what I'm saying? So in other words, the very creations that we live in and what we take for granted, there's a law, for example, light is not dark and dark is not light. Up is not down and down is not up. And the law of opposites was created. How do I know that it was created? I mean, that light is not dark and dark is not light, up is not down and hot is not cold and all that. It's because Hashem made it that way. And how do I know this? Because the Pasuk says, Vayabdel Elohim ben ha'or ben ha'choshech. The Pasuk says, Hashem had to separate the light from the darkness, meaning the most fundamental thing that we take for granted. Well, up is not down and down is not up, obviously. No, that was created. Hashem separated light from dark. So we take it for granted and we live in this amazing world and everything is perfect and it just seems like, okay, this is the way it is. But no, lida. Think about it. Know this. Understand the world you live in. It's created by Hashem and it exists as it does by virtue of Hashem's creation. So now I'm going to fulfill my promise. I said if people have questions, I will field a couple of questions. You were very patient. I will take your question
I
before.
have a problem with the word Vida. Vida is to know for sure. It's Ladat is to know for sure.
Yeah.
It's to have the knowledge and actually know it. You have
Right.
So the same thing over there said, Ela me'amitat himatz'o.
Right.
Amitat himatz'o meaning to know that you actually exist, basically.
Right.
Me'amitah. Amitah is that he truly exists.
Amen. Right.
Amen.
So let me just say that in modern Hebrew, it's true. Lida means to have, as you said, but don't forget, Rambam wrote this close to 900 years ago, and in the context of his Hebrew, Lida means milashon de'ah, and de'ah in biblical Hebrew is knowledge that's acquired over time. We have chokhmah, bina, vada'at. And in the book of Mishle, you'll see always the word chokhmah used in one sense, bina used in another, da'at used in another. Da'at means acquired knowledge, and that's why Hanabam chose the word very carefully. Lida. Any other questions? Yes.
The question is, why he used the word Yida?
Right.
And the thing is, in the Torah, there are two places.
Right.
Chapter 18.
Right.
In Abraham and in Bereshit,
Yes.
it said, "B'ma edak yer Hashem."
Yes.
And the Egel, it says, "Hodi'eni na derechech."
Right.
I think he used it because of that.
Right, because it's something that it's a type of knowledge that you develop over time, of course. So the enina derachecha and b'ma'ida. I like to see the historical unfolding of this promise. Okay, let's continue. So that's the first halakha. V'im ya'aleh al hadat shehu eno masui en davar acher yachol lehimasod. And if you were in your mind to say there is no God, then there would be no universe. Again, can I prove it? No. Oh, maybe I can, but it doesn't matter because it's just an axiom, and this is a starting point, right? So I'm not here to prove it. One day, as I said, we can have these, discussions about the universe and whatever, but it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Let's say in the days of Harambam, could Harambam have proven that the universe is created? No, he couldn't. But that's okay. We can't prove everything. There's a lot of things we can't prove in the world. Also about our modern, there's so many things we just don't see it because, we exist in this bubble and, everything in the bubble is saying, think this way. Yeah, of course. Well, that's the way it is, right? Because, that's the way it is because that's what they told you to think. And that's okay. Every society. So if you're in a communist society, you're absolutely convinced that communism is the best thing and And the secretary of the Communist Party is a great man. I mean, you're convinced of it. Not true, because when you compare it to America, you see that, okay, America, they didn't have to wait online for toilet paper and stuff like that every morning, and they did. So eventually you learn that what you're taught is not so. In this case, in the case of Harambam, is as we develop more knowledge and we became more scientifically advanced, we really do see I don't like using the fingerprints of Hashem, but we see the indications of a creator. But that's irrelevant. It's an axiom. We accept it as Jews. This is our starting point. You understand the point? And I want to read to you something nice from the book Golden Doves. Elliot, thank you for giving me the computer. All my books are in boxes and like hundreds of boxes, and I think they're somewhere in it's probably the Atlantic Ocean, I guess, right? Maybe the Mediterranean, I don't know, my gosh. Okay, so I have a lot of books, and they're coming, and this is one of them, but Elliot was kind enough to give me his...
What book is this one?
The Golden Doves and Silver Dots, and I'm going to read to you... by my father. I mean, right, Golden Doves and Silver Dots was written by my father, and it's a great paragraph. Just listen to this. The rise of modern secularism is intimately connected with the perception of the universe as a self-contained, autonomous entity governed by the laws of nature. Meaning, as in the Middle Ages, thanks to people like Galileo and others, humanity, or the Western world, Europe, began to adopt a scientific perspective on the world. And we began to understand how the world works. And once you understand how the world works, it looks like it's a perfect system with a governing mechanism. And once the world works perfectly, what don't you need anymore? God. Exactly. So there's a connection between understanding the scientific internal mechanism of the universe and the rise of secularism, right? Because before we understood the universe, everything was mysterious and magical, and there was mythology and all these great stories. But once you understand the way the world really works, you say, okay, well, I don't need that anymore. Everything just works. It's a perfect clock, right? And I just want to read to you what Robert Boyle, who himself was a scientist from the 17th century, Robert Boyle conceived of God as a divine clockmaker. He says, there is a God. He created the world, but the universe, once started, continues on its own mechanical course. Robert Boyle says that once Hashem created the world works perfectly. So wait, hold on. What don't we need? What don't we need? God. Meaning, it's not true. Of course it's not true. Yeah, I agree. But I want you to understand what we're saying by understanding what Robert Boyle is saying. The first thing to say, so he's saying, yeah, there is a creator. He created the world, but the world is so perfect, we don't need the creator anymore. The world works on its own. The same way a really good clock works on its own, right? What did Harambam say? The world is constantly, Hashem is constantly creating the world. So you understand, this is a super modern idea. It's a fantastic idea. That's like, it just takes us, into a realm where we can, as modern people, we now have the ability to address these types of issues, because a lot, that this is an issue that the Jews have been struggling with for centuries, which is, well, if the world is so perfect, then we don't need a creator, right? So why do we need a creator? Well, okay, or we don't need the creator to actively run the world because everything runs perfectly. That's a good question, by the way, isn't it? So one day we'll discuss that also. But I just want you to know, right now, my purpose is not to prove. It's just, again, to tell you our thinking. Without proving it, it's, again, I just want you to understand our thinking. Our thinking is no. The world was created by Hashem, correct, but the world is run by Hashem today. That's the point that I want to convey to you, okay? And here you see the difference between us and some of the scientific thinkers over the course of the centuries. Let's continue. All right. ואם יעלה על הדעת שאין כל הנמצאים מלבדו מסויים, הוא לבדו יהיה מסוי, ולא יבטלו לביטולם. Now, on the one hand, you can conceive of God existing and there being no universe. That could be, right? But not the other way around. We cannot conceive of the universe existing and there being no God. Shekol hanimsa'im tzarichim lo, because by definition, anything that's created requires a creator. And we view the world as created. On the other hand, Hashem doesn't need us. He doesn't need the universe. He doesn't require the universe to exist. And a great way to think of this is as follows. So, there's the Greek philosophers. They conceived in the world as in metaphysical terms. What does that mean? It means that things exist, right? There's objects that exist independently. And this is in great contrast to thinking of Chazal. How do the Chachamim think of the world? But we all think as Greeks. We all think of, there's a moon, there's a sun, there's different objects in the world. How do the Chachamim think of the world?
It's all one.
Right, okay. You're right, I agree with you. But I'm looking for something that's in contrast to the Greek thinking.
Well, Hashem is micromanaging as opposed to their philosophy. They thought he was, he made it, done, and we're on automatic.
It has purpose.
So let me ask you, it has purpose.
Yeah.
It has purpose. So to have purpose, okay, let me tell you, when Hashem creates the world, how does he create the world?
Speech.
With what? Who said speech?
I do.
Thank you, speech. And how do we start the tefillah in the morning? Baruch she'amar ve'ayah ha'olam. She'amar. Okay, so Hashem, Yomer Elohim, Hashem says, let there be light. So wait, how does Hashem say, let there be light? Well, wait, hold on one second. When Hashem says, let there be light, who is that he's saying that to even? Wait, so who is listening?
That reflects his will.
What? But there were no malachim. The malachim were created themselves. So who is Hashem? Wait, I'm talking to you now. So I'm talking, and I'm not talking in an empty world or an empty room. Everybody is here. You're all listening to me. So Hashem says, let there be light. But who is he saying that to?
Himself.
But
Say it to himself.
to himself.
Declaring it now.
It's a narration.
Okay.
It's not really.
In a way, by the way, in a way.
Declaration. It's not saying it to somebody.
In a way, you're right. In a way, you're right. But it's deeper than that. So if Hashem is talking, he's talking to someone. And you want me to tell you who he's talking to? Okay, so first of all, okay, wait,
The
hold on.
elements.
Wait, there were no elements yet. First thing was light.
Everything was already there.
Wait, what did you say?
To us.
Ah, nice, exactly. Correct. And let me just take a step backwards and then I'll get to what you just said because it's correct. So how does Hashem say, let there be light? So let's say I had a tape recorder back then. I put on the tape recorder and then I would hear Hashem saying, Yehi Or, right? With a thunderous, yes, thank you. Is that what there would be there? And there it says, no. How does Hashem say, let there be light?
Creating the light itself.
Hazaku Baruch. He creates the light. The creation of the light is itself Hashem's speech. And who is he speaking to, as you said before?
Us.
To us. So when you wake up in the morning and you see the sun rising and it's beautiful, and by the way, it is beautiful, the world is beautiful, he's talking to us. And what do we say? Baruch she'amar ve'haya ha'olam. Wow! We start the day by praising Hashem because he's talking to us and we're acknowledging the speech. Baruch she'amar. He's talking, right? So we start the day by praising Hashem for his creations. He's talking to us. We're listening to his voice and we're acknowledging it. And we're acknowledging on a day because it's every day that he's creating the world, the light. You understand the idea of, so we don't conceive of the world in metaphysical terms. Things don't just exist. No, it's a speech. There's beautiful poetry taking place, and that poetry is directed at humanity, and some of us are blessed and we can hear the poetry, and we're inspired by it. So somebody like David HaMelech is outside in the fields all alone, and he's looking up at the skies, and he sees the stars, and he's inspired by the beauty of the world, and he says, Adonai Adonenu, Ma'adir Shimcha Bechol Haaretz Asher Tenahu Decha Al Hashamayim. David HaMelech says how beautiful the world is. The grace of Hashem is filling up the world, and here I am experiencing that grace. You see? So there's this back and forth speech between humanity and God. So when we conceive of the world, not in metaphysical terms, things just exist and that's it. No, we conceive of it as a speech, as an ongoing conversation. Oh, now we can partake in that conversation. You see? So there's a dialogue between us and Hashem. Right? You get it? That's why it's so important to think as Jews. So now we think about the tefillah. You come to the tefillah in the morning, we're praying to Hashem. We're just part of the speech. Now we're acknowledging His creations. He spoke to us, we're speaking back to Him. And it's a beautiful thing that we have this understanding. You know, we're very privileged to understand what the universe is and how Hashem is talking to us. And if you have any questions, that would be a good time to come.
That's the individual.
Oh, wow.
He's speaking to the individual. He has to, because in one part of the world can be dark, and in one part of the world can be light.
Right.
So he said he ordered for the people that just woke up, and the other one is still sleeping.
Was that light actually sun or is it different light?
Yeah, but the original light, of course, because the or that's the or for the Nevi'im, for the Siddiqim. That's right. But you get it. You understand. There's different types of light, and there's different types of people hearing. And you know, like even like for example, like Kamshaleach Ma'yanim Banechalim, you know, Yeshku Haytos Sarai. So like the animals in the field, they see the water bursting forth from the mountains, and they go and they drink from the water, right? You know, so Ayal Ta'arog Alatikimayim, it's almost like the deer is like praying, please, I want water, and then Hashem answers the deer, and there the water is. So even at a low level of, you know, a simple life form, and Hashem is speaking to that life form by giving it water. You know, or you can have like a baby, you know, just was born, a baby cow, and it's getting milk from its mommy. You know what I'm saying? This is all part of. Yeah, that's right.
All aspects of creation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if Hashem can exist without the universe, who's doing the conceiving?
I'm sorry. Repeat.
What?
Like,
You
could
said
you-
before, Hashem doesn't need the universe.
Right.
He can exist without the universe.
Of course.
How do we conceive this? Who would be, there will be no people to conceive anything.
Right, correct.
Without the universe.
That's true. Right. In other words, if Hashem didn't create us, there would be nobody to perceive Him. I agree with that. That's
Receiving
true.
or receiving? Too? Receiving.
Yes, absolutely. So now that we're talking about this, now you're beginning to understand a little about what the mission of creation is, and we're beginning to touch upon these subjects. Let's read another paragraph. We have another 15 minutes. I said it would be a 1 hour class, so we're like 9:13. This is accurate, the time here? Yeah.
Should I go according to the recording? Or?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Wait, 9:13? Okay.
It's not good.
Okay. לפיכך, אין אמיתתו כאמיתת אחד מהם. So you understand that there's different levels of there's different levels of existence, and I'll explain that. Give me a moment. You'll all understand this pretty clearly. But the level of existence, or the truth of Hashem's existence, is the highest truth there is. There is nothing higher than the truth of Hashem's existence, and we'll explain that. הוא שהנביא אומר, ואדוני אלוהים אמת. Yirmiyah Navi says that Hashem is true, is real. But what does that even mean? I mean, this bottle is real, right? This hand is real. So what does it mean when we say Hashem is real? I mean, right? Sure. What does that mean? Oh. Hu levado emet. Sure. There's a certain level of existence that only He exists at. Ve'en le'acher emet kamito. And at that level, there is nothing else. Ve'hu she'atorah omeret en od milevado. The pasuk that we say in Parashat Ba'et Hanan, en od milevado. What does it mean? There's nothing else other than Hashem. There's a lot of things other than Hashem. Oh, but at that level, only Hashem. Hashem is all alone at that level. Kilomar, en sham masui emet milevado kemoto. There is nothing else that has that position of existence like Hashem's position of existence. And I will use, to explain this, one of my favorite books. I like Macbeth. I mean, I like a lot of different literature, but I like Macbeth. So there's like, what is that sentence? What is it? Double, toil and trouble, fire, burning, cauldron, bubble. There you go. Okay. So somebody else has been reading Macbeth as well. And so the witches are there, and they're making this terrible stew with, I don't know what's in the stew, rat hair and bad eyes, or they don't have eyes. Well, they do, but they're very ugly. Anyway, they're making this horrible stew, And what they're really doing is they're just messing up the world in a terrible place, and they're bringing darkness and suffering. But anyway, they're making this stew, and who sees them? Macbeth. So he sees these witches, and at first he thinks it's an apparition, but it's real. It's like there, and Macbeth can see these witches, and he starts talking with them. Okay, so and then these things happen in the story, right? So if you're getting engrossed in the story, it's almost like you almost you become attached with the characters, right? And when bad things happen to your favorite character, like it almost causes you a certain type of pain, right? When it doesn't have to be Macbeth; it can be any great story, right? So here's my question. So Macbeth, he has this world around him, and he exists, and he's aware of his existence. But there's one thing he can never be aware of. There's something Macbeth can never, ever see. And that something is a person called William Shakespeare. Because Macbeth is just a creation of Shakespeare. And he exists only within the confines of this paper and ink. But he does exist. It's there. It's his writing, Shakespeare's writing, right? But Shakespeare can tell Macbeth, Ki lo yir'ani ha'adam, you will never be able to see me because your level of existence is different than mine. I think this is a great mashal to explain the relationship between Hashem, who is the writer, right? We said he speaks this poetry, and us, which we're just a creation. So we're kind of like, we exist in this book. The book is called the universe. I'm not making this up.
It's like you can't be taken out of character.
You can't be taken out of character.
Right.
And not just that, but it's like when Moshe Rabbeinu, he's looking at the world and he just doesn't like the way the story is turning out. Because, there was the Oigel HaZahav. Now, can you imagine if you're Moshe Rabbeinu? Just think of this for a second. You're up there in Har Sinai. You've reached an insane level of Kedusha that nobody will ever again reach in human history, right? And you come down and you see the people dancing around an idol. I mean, it's like we all have devastating moments in our lives where we're kind of upset, maybe a child didn't do so well in school, or I don't know, stuff like that. But can you imagine Moshe Rabbeinu? He's just been up there. He's been 40 days and 40 nights speaking with Hashem. The Malachim are there. He's studying Torah. And he comes down and they're worshiping the idol. So he was man, he must have really suffered. That wasn't easy. That wasn't easy. Okay, so there's a person who really suffered. So anyway, so Hashem tells him, you know what? I have a good idea. Let's just get rid of them. Let's get rid of the Jewish people. I'll start a new nation with you, and that's it. And at this point, Moshe is just so devastated. Really? This is the way the story is going to turn out? Yeah, I took the Jewish people out of Egypt. I made all these miracles. And by the way, Hashem, I didn't want to go there, remember, because you kind of forced me to go there. It was like a 7-day back and forth. And you there was a point where it says, Vayiharaf Hashem. And if Hashem gets angry at you, and you see his face getting angry at you, whatever that even means, you're like, okay, you don't say no at that point, right? You're like, you're going. So Moshe Rabbeinu goes. He goes to Egypt. He does the 10 miracles. He puts up with everything. He takes them out. He takes them to Har Sinai. And now the end of the story is they're all killed, and Moshe starts a new nation. I'm like, so Moshe is saying, really, this is the story? So what does Moshe Rabbeinu tell Hashem? He says, Mecheni na misifrecha asher katafta. He says, erase me from your book. Okay, erase me from your book. Because Moshe Rabbeinu, who reached that level, he just saw everything. He saw the whole universe, and understood all it really is a book. He didn't like the way the story was coming out, so he basically tells Hashem, I really don't like this story, and if you're going to erase anybody, just write the book over again, no problem, just take my name out, put somebody else in, I don't care who it is, but it's not me, and do whatever you want to with your story. I don't want to be in this book anymore. So, the world we live in is a book. It's the book. It's written by Hashem, and we're characters in this book. So we can never really, share the same level of existence as the author of the book, the same way Macbeth cannot share the same level of existence as Shakespeare. And that's what it's saying. That's what Yirmiyahu says, Vadonai Elohim. And that Hashem is the true existence, because there's only one thing that exists at that level, and that's Him. You understand? Let's just take a few questions if there are any.
Did Moshe go out of character? When he was saying, erase me from your book, did he want to...
I think that Moshe Rabbeinu went Har Sinai, if there's somebody who kind of like, at least he was able to see the book as a book, right? Because we can't even see that. I mean, we're sitting here, we're all talking about it, which is nice, and we should talk about it, we should try to understand, and that's all good. But we're still here. And Moshe Rabbeinu went Har Sinai, he somehow was able to extract himself, tear himself out of the pages, and he existed at that level. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu was the only one who was able to do that, right? So yeah, he kind of went out of,
So that would mean kill me.
What?
That would mean like kill me.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Just take me out of here.
That's what he's saying. They say not even just kill. It's not even just kill me. Just
My existence.
erase
me.
that I ever existed.
Yeah, I don't exist.
Not interested in this.
The part that was not delivered yet.
Okay. All right. So let's continue. All right. Hamasui hazeh hu Eloah ha'olam. So just a couple of things about this existence.
He's the only
Hashem. He is, first of all, he is the ruler of the cosmos. So he runs the entire cosmos. That's number one. But number two, Adon Kol Haaretz. Even though he runs the entire cosmos, which is huge, but he also governs this world. Meaning, you would think, well, if he runs the entire cosmos, this planet Earth is a kind of a small place, and it's not so, so interesting to him or so important to him. But no, that's not correct. As it turns out, the planet Earth is really important for Hashem, and it's so important for Hashem that he governs what's happening in this world. So things happen in this world, and there's a process in history. Somebody asked me before, doesn't matter who, somebody sitting here asked me what's going to happen in the Israeli elections next time around. I told him I'm really not that concerned, and he says, well, do you think XYZ is going to happen? I said, I don't know. Well, do you think ABC is going to happen? I don't know. But I'm really not that concerned. The reason I'm not that concerned is because I really do see Hashem governing the world. I mean, I see a certain process unfolding in Israel. Like I see that it's kind of like existing, and it's going in a trajectory that just doesn't make any sense. So when I see that trajectory unfolding, right, and going in the way it's going, I say, okay, I'm like, I see Adon Kol Haaretz. I see him doing what he's doing. So that's what it means, Adon Kol Haaretz. And he's guiding, let's just call it, for lack of a better word, the Galgal means the outermost sphere of the universe. Like, so if we think of the universe as spheres within spheres within spheres, so you have like the planet Earth, it's part of the solar system. So you have the solar system, then you have the galaxy, then the galaxy is part of a larger cluster of galaxies. So the outermost sphere of the universe, let's call it, Hashem is guiding it, much like a person riding a horse is guiding the horse. So that's weird. So it's like, wow. So like when you're riding the horse, it's going in a certain direction, right? So that's something we didn't really think about before. I can see Hashem ruling the cosmos. I can see Hashem governing the world, but it's like beyond that, there's a direction that the universe is going in. That's like, wow, what is that about? What is that even about? Like I know what it means to say that the universe is being run, like, okay, there's galaxies and there's a particular gravitational force and everything is like perfect. I got that. But it's going in a direction. Where to? Don't know. But that's like Maaseh Bereshit, Maaseh Merkavah. You get it? Maaseh Merkavah is about that. It goes into that, the direction of the chariot. Yeah, but Mashiach is in this world, Adon Kol Haaretz. But this is something beyond. Right? All right. It's infinite strength. And this is, the universe is continuously in this motion. And Hashem is the one that's taking it in that way. And of course, when Hashem guides the universe, it's not like me pushing a wagon, because when I push a wagon, it's like there's a certain I'm transferring, so I have certain energy, let's say, and that energy is being transferred from me to the wagon, and it's going forward, right? You understand? That's not that at all. Belo yad, belo guf. So how does that happen? Right?
Miracle.
Well, yeah, right, okay. That's fine. So let's stop here. I think this is a good place to stop. Okay, we have 5 more minutes. I'll give you a chance to ask some questions. I think this is a good place to stop because we really, yeah, that's it. Oh.
Should I cut it or keep it going?
Oh, I'll keep it going for the 5 minutes, and then we'll. So if anybody has any questions, so next week we're going to continue. Next week we're going to deal more with Ahdut Hashem, the oneness of Hashem, and what that means, because we say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, we say it twice a day, and you have to understand what that's about. But I think as an introduction, just, to see the Jewish prism, how we view reality. I think this is a great introduction. How Am Yisrael is expected to view reality, and remember the word vida. You have to think about it. So it's like, this is just one class, so if you're leaving a little unsure about some concepts, it's totally okay, right? You'll continue studying and thinking about it. I'm always here. So you can always ask me questions, you can always, discuss ideas with me, and hopefully we'll begin to develop these notions, and it'll take us in a very good direction.
Something in Leda, in Parashat HaShavua, this parasha, with the Nachashim, when the Nachash itself, even in Bet HaMikdash HaRishon, I believe they had like a bronze Nachash, Nachash HaChoshev that people used to come to, which used to heal them, and people started to worship it, and that's why it was destroyed. I don't remember who destroyed it.
Hizkiah HaMelech destroyed it, and of course, this that they worshipped, the Nachash HaChoshev, was completely inappropriate.
Leda is connected there. All of a sudden, they forgot who is the Shem.
Right.
I thought this thing is miracle.
Right. And maybe I would just say the following, like as long as you mention that. So and this is kind of like the challenge has always been, because we live in a pagan world or a Gentile world, and we have different values surrounding us. So it's really easy to lose the way. It's really easy to lose the way. It's really easy to view Judaism through the wrong prism. As some sort of pagan, magical, even sometimes almost cultic. And I've seen a lot of this type of stuff around me. So, like I was in Israel for 20 years, and and this has been like a great challenge. A great challenge for us as Jews. How do we maintain our particular epistemology, which is so essential for really worshiping Hashem properly? Because at the end of the day, we want to understand Hashem. He's our creator, He's our Father, He's our King. We want to understand Him. So we really have to think about this all the time. We really have to make that effort and think about this all the time and remember these things. So at the end of the class, you'll all be, not now, everybody return the paper, but then at the end, you'll all be taking the paper home, and hopefully you'll study it.
This is what they do home?
Not now, because we need it for next week. But when we're done with this particular one, we'll give you. Okay?